Okay, this is Andrew. I'm back. And one reason I stopped the video was because I grabbed the Classful IP address range table off of the internet, and that was what I got. But I told you there were some exceptions, and I just looked it up in Wendell's book. And according to Wendell's book, the 127 range is reserved. The 127 network in the A is reserved. It says just reserved. We won't talk about what for right now. So anyway, I thought I'd just make that point. It's not really an issue too much at this stage, but anyway, I took the 127 address out, and also the zero network is reserved. So the zero network is reserved, and the 127 network is reserved. If anyone likes to make a comment or dispute me on that's fine. Just I noticed that and I saw the 127 was on there and I thought maybe it shouldn't be, so I looked it up in Wendell's book and it says 127 is reserved. So we're not going to use them in this video for classful IP addresses. All right, thank you. Okay, so moving forward here, you can see from 0 to 126, this is the network part of the address. And each one of these blocks again are 8 bits. 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits. An IP address makes up 32 bits, 4 times 8. Okay, so basically I have 1 to 126 because the 0 is reserved as well. So what I want to do here is actually I only have 126 networks then, and hosts are how many hosts I can put on that network. I have 24 bits. So you can take 2 to the 24 minus 2, and that tells you how many hosts you can fit onto this network, which is a whole lot, okay? And we'll discuss that later, how to calculate all that. But for now, we're just trying to get, again, the high-level picture. So take a look at this, okay? So let's look at the 24 network. Okay, this 24 network starts at all zeros, 0, 0, 0. That's the network address. The lowest one is the network address, and the highest one is the broadcast address, 255, 255, 255. Okay, this is an IP address. It's in any IP address that lives within the range of the 24000 and the 24255, 255, 255 is an IP address on this network. This is the broadcast address. Okay, so you can see there could be many, many IP addresses in here. Let's look at that a little further. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this class A a little further. So the IP addresses would start here at 24001, and then it's going to go, that's the next one, 3 is the next one, blah, 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 all the way up to 255. Now, what happens when you get to 255? You got it. This goes to 1, this goes to 0, and you start over, all the way up to 255. Then what happens? 2. All the way up to 255. Then that one goes to 255. Then this one starts over at 1 until you get up to 254. And then that's the end. That's the end of that network IP address range. And then this is the broadcast address, the highest one, and this is the network address. Okay. So what's the limitation with Classful A? Well, if you've got a huge, gigantic company and you need all those addresses, one for each host or each computer. When we say host, we mean like a computer or whatever gets an IP address. Generally, you're thinking of a host or PC as a server or a PC, but it could be a number of things, anything that gets an IP address. So if I want to buy a Class A, it costs a lot of money and I get all of these, but I don't even need them. Let's just say I have a small, medium-sized small business with 80 people or something. I don't want to buy all those. You can't anyway because they're gone, but just to make the example. Okay, so you can go to Class B, and Class B is the first 16 bits as a network, whereas the last 16 bits are host part. And it's classful because it's divided in this manner and you can't change it, okay? This is a Class B network. Okay, so again, I'm not going to step through all of them this time, but you can see this one walks up from 1 to 255 the first time, And then the second time it's going to go from 1 to 254 because this the broadcast address is using the 255 in this quadrant. So basically, this is your network, this is your broadcast address, and then everything in between that in here is IP addresses that can be assigned to a computer and a host. And don't forget, each one of these blocks is 8 bits. And that's your IP address when you see 134.15.1.1. That's your IP address. Your network is this part, and your IP address is the host part. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at a Class C example. So let's say you only need 50 IP addresses for a host. Then you probably want a Class C. So here's a Class C network address, 204.110. Could be 204.150, 204.10.15.0. Anything on these three numbers is the network address, and these are going to roll up just like I showed you before. Anything up here is the network address. The IP addresses live between here to here, so it's only 1 to 254. That's it. That's it. So that's it. You have 254 IP addresses with this Class C network. Okay, that's all. That's all you have. It goes. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 204, 15, 1, 1, 204, 15, 1, 2, 204, 15, 1, 3, all the way up to 204, 15, 1, 254. That's your IP addresses. So what do you do with those IP addresses? You assign those IP addresses to a computer, right? That was the whole point. And you're going to put them on a computer on the network like this. So in that Class C, you can see I had 254 possible IP addresses. I could give all 6 of these computers an IP address, and they're all on the same network. Now, if I wanted to, I could give them IP addresses on different networks too. That's always an option, okay? So let's get back to the Class C address we were looking at right here, and let's talk about the limitations with Classful. Okay, so here you can see the range is 1 to 126. I'm not sure why that table had 1 to 127. And like I said, Windows books had 1 to 126, where 127 is reserved for the network. Just says reserved in Windows book. We're not going to talk about what for right now. So anyway, the limitations with Classful is that I'm stuck, okay? If you look on Class A, how many hosts does it have? This many. I mean, look at that, 2 to the 24 minus 2. You've got 16 million. I mean, if you're a company with only 100,000 employees, you've just wasted. Not only did you have to buy them, well, you wasted those IP addresses that nobody else can use. So, you might be able to go down to a Class B, but it might not suit you either. Or you might be able to go to a Class C, but it might not suit you. The problem is that Classful networks are divided into these blocks, and the blocks are 8 bits for Class A. You've got, for Class A, you've got 8 bits for the network, right? For Class B, you've got 16 bits for the network, and Class C, you've got 24 bits to the network, and you're stuck. That's it. So in fact, for those of you that have seen these before, you've seen addresses before, is this would be like a /8, this would be like a /16, and this would be like a /24, but really /16, /24, and /8 doesn't mean anything for a Classful IP address because it's automatic. You really don't even need to tell it. You already know. So the point is this is showing you the limitations of the Classful IP addresses, and what we want to do is break these down such that they don't have to divide on these lines. Like I can break these into any component I want. I can use, instead of using, like for a Class C, for example, instead of using 8 for for host, 8 bits for host. I could use 10 or I could use 11. I can literally divide this block up, and that's what subnetting is. That's what is subnetting, and we're gonna take a look at that in the next time later. Okay, so right now we discussed the limitations with Classful, and what we've covered is binary numbers, convert binary to decimal, convert decimal to binary, Classful IP addressing, class A, B, and C, and this is all IPv4 network addressing. Okay, so we've still got a lot to do. We've still got a lot to do in the whole subnetting world, and we'll get back to you after this video. Thank you.